if there was a fellow comic here, I'm not naming any names, that thought they were going to do a stand-up act about circumcision tomorrow night.
Right.
Do you think that would have a chance of being funny?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Over there, okay.
Can you describe your typical workday, knowing you probably don't have a typical workday, but what it's like to go in the morning or at 5 p.m. or whatever,
okay,
and write for the Letterman show?
Okay. First of all, I don't wake up, I come to. Start with coffee and 6 Vicodin, and then we see where the day takes us. No. I'm very lucky because I've been with the Letterman show 18 years, and I have a very humane schedule over there. I don't have to get in till 11 o'clock. I work, my day at the Letterman show is like about 11 to 8, which means that I get to write my fiction in the morning, which is a tremendous luxury. And then I get in the show, and mainly I'm a monologue writer. I'm just a joke writer. And so I pretty much work on that all day. I work alone. I mean, sometimes if it's an emergency, we gather in the conference room. But mostly we work alone because with a daily show, you know, you're putting out a show every day. You've got to generate so much material. And, you know, the thinking is that 10 guys working in 10 rooms are going to generate more material than 10 guys in one room. And so we just make mounds and mounds of coleslaw every day and trying to get one good serving. And like, for instance, I'll just tell you with the top 10, if we have a dozen writers, every writer, we get a topic around 11 o'clock, and every writer turns in his or her list. So you have, with at least 10, so you have probably a couple of hundred items to choose from. And I'm not clairvoyant, but I know what you're all thinking. You mean those are the best 10 they come up with? Good Christ. And it's the same thing. That's about the percentage. Like, I would say that Dave and myself and the other head monologue writer, Steve Young, I think we probably look at 400 jokes to get the 18 that he does on the show. And that's the percentage. And I'm just going to say this as kind of a global comment for the writers out there. You know, on a great day at the Letterman show for me, I'll turn in 50 jokes, and Dave will take 10, put them on cue cards, and end up doing 5 or 6. And that's a great day. And not every day is a great day. But let me just say this. The day where he takes 10 out of 50 and the day where he takes 0 out of 50, there's no difference, because at the end of the day, I'm still a writer. And that's the thing about being a writer, is you just write. That's the thing. That's the, you know, I mean, isn't that the only advice? Writers write. So but basically that's the day. And you know, we write a lot of stuff, and I've said this many, many times. We write a lot of stuff that's great. We write a lot of stuff that's okay. We write a lot of stuff that's lame. But day after day, night after night, the funniest moments on the show are Dave being Dave in the moment, Dave reacting in the moment. And the one that comes to mind was, I think it was our second year at CBS, and we had Richard Simmons on, who was a guest who we used to have on a lot, and you know Richard, we liked him, and you know, when he's all oiled up in the shorts and everything, and he does one segment. Now we go to break. We come out of break, and he's there with the legs, with the oiled up with the shorts and the tank top, and he's got one of Dave's cigars. And he's very languidly pantomiming, smoking a cigar as we come out of the break. And he says to Dave, "David, will you teach me how to smoke a cigar?" And Dave says, "I think you got the hang of it, Richard."
Is he done?
All right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Hi. You referenced Ratso Rizzo earlier in the evening, and I just wondered if you were ever mistaken for Dustin Hoffman. And because I have friends back home that aren't writers, and they aren't going to know you, so I was hoping I could maybe say I saw Dustin tonight.
Once again, question funnier than the answer. Wow. I've gotten that a lot. Two things. Dustin Hoffman is 10 years older and a foot shorter. But I really love him. And if you've seen the movie, oh God, how old am I? I can't. This movie he did with Emma Thompson, help me, Harvey, Last Chance Harvey. To watch the two of them for 2 hours, that's a great 2 hours. That's good. So you'll go out and rent that, and you won't buy my book. Terrific. All right. Where are we? Anybody else? Oh, just whoever's got the. Oh, hi.
So
my table mate.
Oh, okay. So when you were a kid, did you still write the genre that you're writing? I'm not sure what the genre you write is. But
neither am I.
But when you were a kid, did you still? Oh my God! What genre did you write as a kid, and did you ever think you were going to be a writer?
I always wanted to be a writer. My uncle, and I really appreciate you asking this question, because I get to talk about my uncle. My uncle was Herbert Warren Wind, who wrote for The New Yorker for 40 years. He's the dean of American golf writers. He invented the phrase "Amen Corner," but he was a guy that showed me the possibilities of living a writer's life, and he was he was very generous to me. And when I moved to New York, he was just wonderful to me, and he was wonderful to me growing up, and encouraged me to write, and encouraged me. I wanted to be a sports writer like him. And my first book, The Ringer, the central character is based on him. When I was I was a little older than you. My first big paper was on James Thurber. And I was 15, I read everything, and I was fascinated. And I remember one line of his that he wrote Winston Cigarette Company, and Winston's, of course, motto was, Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. And he said, why don't you change your slogan to, our cigarettes taste good like they used to could? And so I realized, because I was very smart at 15, that James Thurber wrote for The New Yorker and my uncle wrote for The New Yorker. So maybe they had met. And so this is the kind of guy my uncle was. So he came to our house around Christmas, and I said to him, I wrote a long paper on James Thurber. Did you know James Thurber? And he said, yes, I did. And I said, did you ever talk to him? Yes, I did. Well, what did you say to him? Hello, James. But you almost made me cry. But he was, he was, when my book was about to come out, he suffered from dementia at the end, but I went to see him. And you know how when people have dementia, they think of some lines, they have like these ready-made lines to act as if they're in the conversation. I mean, so because they want to be part of the world, but they can't. And so I went to see him, and he recognized me, which was great. And I said to him, I just want you to know that my first book is coming out, and there's a character in that book, and you were the inspiration for that character. And of course, he did not respond because he was criminally modest and criminally underappreciated as a writer, I think. And so he said, well, what's the book about? I said, it's about a guy who has to leave New York, and he takes care of his uncle. And he said, I think I'd like to read a book like that. And it was, and I knew, it was the last time I saw him, and I just thought that it was, and I'll never forget that. I mean, he was, he's the most important man in my life, and he always will be because, and I'm a writer because of him. I believe that. So thank you. Yeah. How are we doing on? Oh, we're doing all right on time. Okay. Yeah. Anybody?
Here.
Hi.
Were any of the writers involved in discussing with Dave how his confession about the sex scandal and all that would play out?
Here's and I'll just say this that like I said before, when all is said and done, he's the smartest guy in the room, and he's the funniest guy in the room. So he don't need any help from us. He handled it, and it was all him. He knew that that after the story broke, that he would have to address it, and he would only really address it once. And I thought that monologue on that Monday night, I just don't think he can do any better than that, because it was funny, it was really funny, and he made the point. And he's my boss, but he's my friend too. And it was painful. It was painful to watch, but it was inspiring to see the way he walked through that. I mean, so I knew we'd get around to that, and I hope that I answered that. And for the other question that hasn't been asked, who wrote the Sarah Palin joke? Interestingly enough, that was faxed in by Glenn Beck. How about that?